Hey guys, today I want to go over my Zodiac series, just kind of a little retrospective on the 12 designs I did for the project and just kind of go over what I was thinking as I did each piece. So let's just get right into it and jump into Aries. So Aries is a great starter design because it was a ram, and I love rams. I love ram skulls. They're one of those things I've drawn a million times, and so this was a no-brainer. I definitely wanted to have some type of ram, and originally I did like this jacked like ram figure, and I kind of just went with simplicity. Whenever I'm having a difficult time trying to decide what I want to do with a piece or something like that, I just go and I say, well, what if I black out this whole area? What if I make this whole area dark? What if I use negative space in like an interesting way? And with this one, I think it really worked out. This piece actually blew up on TikTok too, and it got almost a million views in the video I posted of it, which was crazy to me at the time, and I knew I was on the right track with the series. But I just added a bunch of blood, I added a bunch of, just this red around the face, and I think it really just helps the design in general. So I end up just kind of adding these little speckles, little details here and there. Nothing too crazy moving forward. I had the base design and just kind of added small details to make it a lot more fun and interesting. And then I just decided to add Aries on the top of it, and I do this with each piece going forward. Little flame in the background. And there you go, that's my Aries design. I think this one came out great. This is definitely one of my favorite designs, and it was hard to follow up after doing this one. So let's jump right into Taurus. Now, Taurus, I was going with a similar theme. I was going with a kind of longhorn bull. I love bulls. I love the idea of like a scary cow, basically. And I think the longhorn bull has like a really cool, just I don't know, horn shape, a lot different than like your standard bull. But other than that, nothing too crazy with this one. I think the main thing I did differently is I ended up. I don't have it here recorded, unfortunately, but I did split the bull in two, and it has this kind of white liquid grounding it to the ground, giving it that earth sign feel. Now, I wasn't super excited about Taurus, but I was very excited for this next one, Gemini. Gemini is one of those signs where I just feel like it has this sinister energy. Scorpio too, but so very easy to come up with a concept for this one. The Gemini, the twins. I decided to go with kind of like a laughing and crying set of figures, and I just love how this one came out. I've done some pieces similar to this in the past, but I love the idea of like this like grinning figure grasping basically its mirror image and holding it close. It really gives me that Gemini vibe. It's kind of like unsettling feeling of being together and togetherness. Next is my least favorite. Not my least favorite as far as design goes, but this was my least favorite to do. I was struggling so hard with this one. This is Cancer. And Cancer is the crab. And I felt like this was such a fun concept and it was going to be so exciting and so different to do, but I just struggled so much. I started off with this like kind of scary crab headed figure that was kind of muscular and has like a big claw, but I was just like, this doesn't feel very mystical or magical or cool. And so I actually scrapped this and I just took the head back out. And I decided to go with a more kind of like haunted, scary, uncanny crab with like these long legs, almost like I don't know if they're called spider crabs, but whatever the crabs are with the very long legs, they scare me, and I'm sure they scare a lot of people. And so I thought it'd be kind of cool to jump in on that kind of trope and instead of just doing like a crab person. So ultimately, I do love how this one came out. I'm glad that I spent the extra time and I redid the concept. I think it came out great. So that's my Cancer. Let's jump right into the next one, which will be Leo. Leo is a fun one. Leo, I swear, every person, I was posting these kind of as I was doing them, and everybody was like, when's Leo? When's Leo? When's Leo? Leo was the most sought after piece, so I really felt the pressure doing this one. And I had a hard time at first. I was like, trying to draw a very cool lion. I've seen lions drawn a lot. I feel like a lot of illustrators draw lions, and it's just something I haven't done really ever. So this is one of my first lions I ever drew. And I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Did I want this like asymmetrical face? I definitely wanted the mane to be there. I was debating between like just a head and a full figure, but I'd done a full figure already and it just didn't feel like the thing to add in this situation. So I said, let's just try and do this kind of bust basically. And it started coming out really well. I did not like the asymmetrical face though, and so what I end up doing here is I actually ended up mirroring both sides of the face. I felt like that came out really cool, and I was really happy with it by the end. So that's my Leo, kind of the vain, self-righteous lion. I think I kind of nailed that. So from there, we go on to Virgo, the Virgin. Kind of a tough one to concept out and to think of something. How do you express that someone is a virgin, right? And the way I approached it was I did kind of like a younger looking person, androgynous, can't really tell if they're male or female. Like they have this fluidity of gender. And from there, what I wanted to do was kind of show that they are in the nude almost, but you cannot see below their neckline basically. And I did this by adding thorns, almost like this protective area to be like, you may not pass, you may not, see what is beyond. And that for me kind of nailed that vibe of like the pure virgin, right? I also tried to make it so that the thorns were almost like an egg. They're almost encapsulating and protecting the subject. And that for me kind of hit a bunch of different themes that I wanted to get into. And ultimately, because of all these things, I love how this piece came out. This was one of my favorite pieces. Unfortunately, it didn't perform super well online. It didn't, do well with my audience for the most part, but that didn't really matter to me. I love this character. I love their sort of tasteless gaze, how they look through the viewer. And so with that, I kind of jumped into Libra. And at this point, I was like, how on earth am I going to represent the scales, balance, judgment? And originally, I went with more of an approach of like justice, like the blinded figure. But I wanted to try something a little bit more avant garde. And so I did this kind of skeletal hand holding a set of scales with two eyes crying beneath it. This was kind of like an automatic drawing. I went through and I started drawing this. I kind of let my mind just take over. I didn't think about it too much. I just kind of let the idea roll wild. And I really like how it turned out. It was kind of fun. It was a little bit different from the rest of the series. It was less based on like a figure or like an animal or something, and more based on an object in like a series of what feels like an event happening. And so I really like how this one came out. I thought it was a really interesting way to approach Libra, and all the Libras that I've spoken to anecdotally have really enjoyed it so far. So I really love how this one came out. Now we got Scorpio. This was a tough one. I had a few designs for this. I know I wanted to make this one super evil and sinister. I mean, I feel like everyone has that opinion. Whenever I hear about Scorpios, and mind you, I'm not really super into the like the zodiac scene, but I feel like every single time I hear about a Scorpio, it's just like they're the most maniacal people on the planet, and they're terrible, and like keep your distance from them. And so I kind of wanted this vibe. I wanted this kind of like isolated evil vibe, and so I did this kind of like scorpion person with this really like insane sinister face, and I actually put them in this red bubble to kind of show how they're isolated from everyone else with their own like kind of evil actions. Love Scorpios. Now we have Sagittarius. This was a really fun one, the Archer. I never really knew a lot about Sagittarius. I didn't realize they were kind of like representative of like speed and action. And I tried a few different designs. And initially, I went with this kind of centaur figure with this strange head. And I ended up fixing the head because I just felt like it was way too much. And I put a little fire above them because I know they're a fire sign. And yeah, I really love how this one came out. This is actually probably one of my favorite designs from the series. I really love how little Sagittarius came out. Their aim is true type of deal. They have their legs kind of freaking out on the floor. I love this one. I love this guy. Really scary, really different. Love the concept. Now Capricorn, this was a tough one. This should have been a really easy design, but I had such a hard time getting somewhere that I liked with it. I started with like a goat head, and I did all these teeth in its mouth and made it kind of scary and sinister, but it just wasn't. No matter what I did, I felt like I was fighting the tide on this one. It was super hard. I would say this of the whole series, this was probably my least favorite one to do. I had all these great ideas for it, and this is actually just like one iteration of many that I tried and then I settled on. But if I ever do another future state zodiac, I would like to redo this one and try and change it up a little bit, because I just wasn't super satisfied with the end result. I think it is better than how it started, but there was just something about it. I wish I could fix it. I wish I could make it more goat-like. Maybe I should do some like goat studies and some like goat anatomy. I do like the idea that it's like a severed head and it's kind of planted on the ground. But that's my Capricorn. I would like to try and redo this one at some point. I don't think it's a bad design, but I think I could do it a little bit better in the future. Second to last, we have Aquarius. Now, this is my sign, so I gave it a little bit of extra attention to make sure it came out great, especially after the Capricorn. I was feeling kind of down. I was like, am I finishing this on a strong note or not? And so I started doing this, and Aquarius is the water bearer. And so I was like, well, how do I approach this in a way that would be interesting? And I think I found that in the way that the water is pouring out of the containers, and it kind of like blends into the character itself and into the background. So it's kind of this yin yang mentality, which I was super happy with by the end of it. So that's my Aquarius, the water bearer. Great sign. Happy to be one. Now finally we have Pisces, and I'm really happy with how this design turned out. Started off as one fish, and what ends up happening is that I actually took the design and I copied it and flipped it, and I made an inverse of the creature. And you end up having these two fish, the double Pisces, which I feel like is just a trope already. And I just love how this one came out. This is one of my top three as far as the designs go. And ultimately, I think it's just like a great Pisces design. It really represents, like, the two fish. So yeah, that's the last zodiac. That is my whole series. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm really happy with how the series turned out. This is about a year and a half ago, maybe. I believe I did it starting like January of 2022, so maybe even closer to 2 years now. But I do a lot of series like this. I'm hoping to share next either my Seven Deadly Sins series that I did this year, or my Nine Circles of Hell. So whichever one you want to see, if you watch to the end of this video, let me know. I'll take your opinion into consideration, because I'm going to hopefully be doing that over the next week or two. And finally, thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are the best. It's really crazy to see that list at the end of the video get bigger and bigger. So I appreciate you guys just supporting and keeping the work coming out, because you really are. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you so much. If you're interested in any of my socials, they're going to be in the description below. We've almost reached 1 million followers between all the different platforms, which is totally surreal and incredible. And it's just, I feel like such a great community has been built over the past 3 years, and so many great horror artists and people who are interested in that kind of artwork have kind of like merged onto the page, and it's just been great. It's been awesome. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'm excited to make more content like this. It's been awesome. So this is me signing off. Grab a pencil, grab a pen, grab a stylus, and make something tonight. It might be the night that you make the piece of artwork that you love. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your night, guys. Bye.